The strategic command chamber of the Hellion orbital bastion went dead silent the instant Lieutenant Riley Arden stepped through the armored blast doors. The station drifted above the storm-scarred exoplanet Row 17, and every alien operative present, scaled, feathered, chitin-plated or otherwise, turned to gape at the lone human entering their last sanctuary. Some stared in disbelief. Others recoiled as if an unpredictable animal had wandered into the War Council. High Commander Vealoris of the Threx Dominion, a towering six-armed being with obsidian carapace and ridged shoulders, stood at the center tactical holotable. Her faceted emerald eyes reflected the red holographic symbols that indicated enemy ships surrounding them like cosmic vultures circling a dying beast. "We face an enemy force 9 times our size," Vealoris announced, mandibles clicking with tension. "The Drath Syndicate will breach our defensive barrier within the next cycle. All personnel are advised to evacuate to emergency capsules while evacuation remains possible." Most officers stiffened in fear, but Riley did something no one expected. She laughed. Not a timid chuckle. Not a strained giggle from stress. It was a bold, clear, echoing laugh, so loud it bounced off the steel walls and made several alien lieutenants step away as if the sound itself were dangerous. Captain Relthar of the Sci-Fi Guard reached for her holstered weapon out of sheer instinct. In her 1,000 years of service, she had never witnessed someone react to imminent destruction by laughing. "Human Riley Arden," Vealoris said slowly, unable to mask her confusion. "Why do you greet death with amusement? Your emotional coding is incomprehensible." Riley wiped a tear from her cheek as her smile widened. She strolled casually toward the hologram table, hands in pockets, posture relaxed, tone almost playful. "With all respect, Commander," she said, "your definition of danger is adorable." That earned a collective gasp. Riley expanded an Earth dossier on the holoscreen. Images flashed. Superstorms ripping skyscrapers apart, wolves hunting in coordinated packs, ocean waves taller than buildings swallowing ships whole. Several aliens paled, those who had complexions capable of paleness. "This is my planet," Riley continued cheerfully. "We grow up with hurricanes, lightning that can melt sand into glass, insects that travel in swarms big enough to block out the sun, and we still plan beach vacations like idiots. So this," she waved casually at the surrounding enemy fleet, "is just another Tuesday." A murmur rolled through the chamber. Some officers began to understand something they'd only read about in strategic briefings. The unusual, irrational force humans were infamous for: audacity, mixed with unshakable defiance and a hint of joyful madness. Commander Vealoris shifted uneasily. Reports had warned her that humans had a habit of accomplishing impossible feats when cornered. Seeing one in person was far more alarming. "What would you have us do, Lieutenant Arden?" she asked. "Our defenses will collapse. Our weapons cannot match their fleet." Riley's grin sharpened. "Easy," she said. "We stop playing defense." Riley flicked her wrist and brought up a schematic of the Bastion's fusion core infrastructure, power rerouting nodes, and thermal regulators. Her fingers danced across the holographic interface with a familiarity that suggested she had spent far too many nights taking systems apart for fun. Alien engineers gasped as she began overriding protocols they considered sacred. "We switched to Earth-style offense," she explained. "Back home we've got a saying, the best defense is a ridiculously overpowered offense. And another one, if you're walking through fire, don't stop, run faster." Warning klaxons blared instantly. Power indicators spiked. And the holographic diagrams turned crimson as she rerouted every unit of shield energy into the forward weapons grid. "Human," protested Chief Engineer Trekvor, a crystalline being whose body chimed when he moved. "This will leave the station exposed to a single direct hit." Riley nodded at him as if he had just stated the obvious solution to a math problem. "Exactly," she said. "Which is why they'll never see it coming." Alien jaws, mandibles, and beaks dropped open simultaneously. Captain Relthar found her voice at last. "Is your species missing the instinct for self-preservation?" Riley barked a short laugh. "Oh, humans have self-preservation. We just don't let it get in the way of a good plan." She leaned against the console and continued. "Humanity has a long tradition of charging straight into things we shouldn't. We've climbed mountains because they were tall, jumped out of flying machines for entertainment, and sailed across oceans without any idea what was waiting at the end." The aliens exchanged horrified glances. Riley kept going. "One of our soldiers, back in our old history, was surrounded and told to surrender. You know what he answered?" She paused. "He said, 'Nuts.' Then held the line." Vealoris blinked all 6 eyes in bewilderment. Riley input the final command into the terminal. The system locked. Their fate, victory or annihilation, was sealed. Sometimes, she said softly, the only way out is through. Long-range sensors chimed as the Drath Syndicate armada appeared on the edges of the system. Their dread hammers, massive triangular warships with molten energy cores, charged their forward cannons. They closed in confidently, certain they would crush the crippled station in moments. The Bastion crew stood at their stations, legs trembling, hearts pounding, frills flattening, spines stiffening. Some whispered quiet prayers in languages older than Earth itself. Riley didn't pray. She rolled her shoulders, cracked her knuckles, and took manual control of every weapon on the station. Her eyes narrowed. The chaos around her faded. Even the thunder of engines and electronic alarms seemed distant. She was waiting. Watching. Calculating the exact second when the enemy ships would fall into perfect alignment. A flaw in their formation pattern she had noticed earlier, one she doubted artificial intelligence or alien tacticians would ever exploit. Around her, officers barely breathed. Commander Vealoris stood motionless, torn between terror and awe as she watched the humans' calm determination. "Lieutenant," she whispered, "if this fails?" Riley cut her off gently. "Then it fails spectacularly." Sweat beaded across alien foreheads as the enemy formation tightened. "Closer. Closer. Perfect. For Earth," Riley murmured. "For everyone who ever faced down fear and laughed." Her hand hovered over the firing interface. Every weapon system on the Bastion blazed red, cycling faster than they were ever designed to. The deck vibrated. The air tasted metallic. The station was moments away from overheating. Riley exhaled once, then slammed her hand down. Firing. The Bastion's weapon batteries unleashed everything they had: ion lances, plasma spears, kinetic rails, particle beams. The combined discharge was so immense that the entire station lurched backward, its frame groaning like an ancient ship in a storm. Without shields to absorb the recoil, the energy blast erupted into space like a newborn star. It tore through the Drath vanguard before they had a chance to raise defenses. 3 dread hammers vaporized instantly. A dozen escort craft were shredded in a ripple of exploding debris. Shockwaves rippled across the void as ships slammed into one another trying to escape the sudden, unthinkable attack. The enemy fleet scattered, utterly stunned. Alien officers in the Bastion stood frozen, unable to process what they'd just witnessed. Some dropped to their knees. Others simply stared open-mouthed at Riley, as if seeing her species clearly for the first time. Riley didn't pause. "Shields back online," she shouted, rerouting energy the moment the firing sequence ended. Blue light enveloped the station an instant before enemy plasma fire returned. Bolts of molten energy crashed into the barrier, sparks flying across the interior consoles, but the shields held. Commander Vealoris clutched the edge of the holodable. They are retreating," she whispered in disbelief. Indeed, the enemy ships fell back, engines flaring, desperately regrouping after suffering losses they could not comprehend. Riley stepped away from the console, finally allowing herself to breathe. Around her, silence fell once more, but this time it wasn't fear. It was awe. Commander Vealoris approached Riley with slow, reverent steps. Her mandibles clicked, producing a rhythmic sound Riley recognized as the Threx equivalent of laughter. "The human is correct," Vealoris said. "Your species is unpredictable, unreasonable, terrifying, and perhaps the bravest fools we have ever encountered." Riley shrugged modestly. "We try." The crew, Threxians, Seraphi, Crystalborn, and more, watched her the way one might watch a cosmic phenomenon. Dangerous, bizarre, but impossible not to admire. "What you did should have been impossible," Captain Reldar murmured. "Why would anyone risk so much?" Riley looked out the viewport where fading embers of destroyed warships drifted like dying stars. "Because sometimes," she said softly, "standing your ground is the only choice that matters. Humans don't survive by being the strongest. We survive by being too stubborn to fall over." Vealoris lowered her head respectfully. "We have much to learn from your kind." Riley smirked. "Starting with, never tell a human the odds." The officers exchanged a silent agreement. This strange, fearless species had just saved them all. And perhaps, in the vast tapestry of the galaxy, humanity's wild courage was exactly what the universe needed. In the glow of the recovering shields, the crew of the Helion orbital bastion stood taller. For the first time since the war began. They believed victory was possible.